Hi, and welcome to Coach's Corner, where systems matter and both personal and professional learning and development is beneficial for everyone and essential for some. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, we're back again with Coach Little Z, or better known as Brett Zandis. Brett Zandis, better known as Coach Little Z 23. Today we're going to be doing a Quora questions. He's been doing Quora for almost a year now, I believe.
Nah, just like a few months.
Oh, just a few months. Okay,
yeah.
Just a few months. And he's had over 450 questions answered. And it was like 10,000 upvotes or something crazy number like that. Is that right?
No, but it was like 100,000 views, and then they were kicking me off, and then there was like 150 upvotes, and then they took them down because they said I was saying similar answers. I'm like, well, yeah, if there's one smart answer, that's the same one I'm going to give on every question, you idiots.
So if you guys want to go and check him out, this is just a sample of 30 to 40 questions that we're going to be doing. I think you guys would really enjoy to see what he's saying. It's a lot similar to what he's telling you guys, but maybe, for you guys that are visual learners and, can read it, it'd be better for you guys. So you can find him at, Quora, Brett Zandis. As you guys know, he's a system king. He's a time hacker, and he gets everyone to meet their goals through systems. And if you guys can just run the system, he's been telling me this for years, and it's finally starting to click for me just a little bit, and it's made my life so much easier, not just professionally but personally as well, to get everything organized. So I hope that you guys are enjoying it as much as we are, and I enjoy that I get to ask him these questions, and I'm glad that I'm able to do this and have this opportunity. So thank you.
No, thank you. Hopefully we're providing value and support for the people. I believe that we are. Mm-hmm. The one thing I'd like to say before you get started, or two things actually. One is, so these will be questions, because I know I ask or answer questions on Quora in like 3 to 5 different categories, yes. But this will primarily be around business and entrepreneurship.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And then the second thing is, I've been thinking a lot about this, and we've talked about that I think we're ahead of the wave on systems.
Yeah.
And so, the question is, how do you make systems sexy enough to where people want to do them, right, to get involved? So I would ask the audience that, if you have a comment on how you think we can do that, right? Because you can be the best marketer, brander, advertiser, seller, salesperson, this side of the Mississippi. But the reality is, if it's not sexy, it's hard to, get that word out. Yeah. So if anybody has ideas on how to do that, and the second part is, you and I have talked about this before, so we know Nike, great marketers and different things of that nature, but Kleenex or Q-Tip or the bottled water guy, I want to know what their hacks were and what their tricks were to get it out, because the bottled water guy is taking basic tap water, purifying it, or saying that it comes from a mountain spring, or whatever the case may be, and turn around, put it into a half a cent bottle and sell it to us for $2. Yep. That guy's pretty smart. I want to know what was going on there. But anyway, if you guys, have anything that might be able to be helpful for us as well, we would appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this time, instead of questions that I wrote, I took them from the internet, so I don't memorize them. So I'm just going to read it straight down the list, and we'll go from there.
You don't memorize questions anyway, you liar. You ain't memorized anything in your whole life.
50-50.
The new one around the household, they go, yes, Brett?
Yeah.
Is agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, we've been saying that for last week and a half.
So we're going to start with business first.
Yeah.
And so question number 1 says, how did you get the first 10 users for your online business, and how long did it take you?
About 4 seconds.
Okay.
And I did it the same way I would do it, whether it was an online business or any other business. And I've said this before, I use the analogy of the airplane is going down to crash, so to speak. What do they tell you? You put the oxygen mask on the pilot or different. No, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first. So I'm always customer or client number 1.
Okay.
Right? If I don't believe enough in what I'm selling, and I break it down into services, products, and merchandise, then I won't sell it. Right. So now I'm down to 9.
Yeah.
Right. So that one was pretty quick. And then I'll go out and talk to mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle, sister, cousin, you, your brother, da 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 da. So, you know, we all know probably 40 to 50 people that will probably buy from us, even if they don't want it or need it, but because they're just going to be supportive of us.
Got it.
So whether that be an online business or a brick and mortar or a service business or a product business or a, you name it, that's how I do it.
Okay, got it. Question number 2 said, how can I increase my mobile repair business, meaning mobile like their phones?
Yeah. Again, I don't care if it's mobile phones or immobile phones or anywhere in between. I mean, the process to increase, which I'm guessing they mean by that, would be the revenues.
Yeah, I would assume that was just the question that was asked. But I would assume that is correct.
Yeah. So based off of revenues only, because that's not how we track our number one thing.
Right.
We track how many people do we help, especially with youth.
Right.
Right. But so we have what we call outstanding opportunity, and then we have financially fiscal, which I think is probably what they're asking. So I'll go with that. So it's like anything else. So you can do what I call branding, which is going to be what I call more in the macro, an 18-month process. And so you just get the word out, however you're going to get it out. So you can do a lot of free stuff, social media posts, emails, texts, different things of that, primarily free type stuff. But, if you want to increase it right now, that's probably not going to be the case. That's going to take a while because you're more branding, which would be logo recognition, tagline recognition, colors, what do you do, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
The second part I call marketing, which is more what I call in the mezzos, which I just figured out that's 2 Z's, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm like MEZOS, and I don't know, I looked it up. I'm like, there's 2 Z's in there, which means there's 4 Z's if you get the pun there. But anyway, the marketing is typically going to be more like paid advertisement. So you can lose at first if you don't know what you're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start with a smaller budget and figure out, that one ad that's really taken off, then you can do that. And so I call that marketing in the mezzos, which would be more like 30 days to 180 days. And then you have what I would call advertising, which would be specifically paid ads. So you can do them in both spots,
Right.
or other forms of advertising, and that should ring the register right away, but it's high cost. So it's like anything else, there's a continuum. When you get over here into branding, it's going to take longer, but it's less money out of your pocket. If you want to go in the middle with marketing, it's more of a 50-50 balance. If you want to go the other direction, you're spending, Super Bowl ads are, $5 million.
Right.
But you have a chance for some great things to happen. Probably a small business like that doesn't have that kind of stuff. So those are the 3 primary ways. And then what I like to talk about are the 3 basic arenas underneath that, what I call natural networking, which is what I just shared previously. Start with yourself first, and then go out, family, friends, whatever, and see if you can get one of your family and friends to start running their mouths, and you give them a little percentage of the business, or they'll just do it for free. I call that networking.
Got it.
And then the next one would be referrals, where you go out to your customers and you say, hey, just out of curiosity, would you know of 10 people's names that I can get? And again, if you do that very specifically, then you would ask a very great question, because their brain's going all over. Who needs mobile phone? Who needs mobile, phone repair? Who needs, just say, no, just your friends and family. And then what I usually say before that to make them feel comfortable, say, hey, have I treated you, good? Yeah. How's your experience been? Oh, really good. Okay, well, I promise to treat your people the same way. Otherwise, they don't want to give up,
Right.
their number. So I call that the real referrals. And then the last one is what I call traditional transmissions, which you would always laugh about. We may change the word transmissions. It's not the best, but conceptually it stays the same. And that is some of the stuff that we talked about, whether it's paid advertisement or social media or different things like that, old school radio, TV, let's say, you walk up on your door and you get the little postcard that says, hey, I'll clean your house. There's different things of that nature. But it just depends on how fast you want to go and what you're really trying to accomplish. But those are the half a dozen methods or things that I would use to be able to get that. But let's simplify it all.
Mm-hmm.
you got to get more attention, which means you got to blink on people. And then when you get them in, you got to sell them.
Yeah.
And then once they become your client customer, treat them really, really good so you can keep them and upsell them.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Third question is, what are some tips to starting up your own small business?
Well, I think it's like starting anything else, right? So I'll just give a simple analogy of, let's say you wanted to start, weight loss, right? And so I have a simple thing that I do, and I call it like almost like an action plan type thing. So I say, SP is here, right? So I'm going to do a little like diamond. So SP is over here, starting point. And then ER over here is your end result. What are you really wanting to accomplish? And usually that's going to be around money or, different things of that nature when it comes to business or entrepreneurship. And then what I have up here are the benchmarks. And then down at the bottom of the diamond, so to speak, is what are all the things that I can, do to ensure that happens. So let's go with weight loss.
Yep.
So I start here, I'm at 240. The end result I want to be at, let's say, is 200.
Yes.
So then let's say I want to do this all within, 4 months. So month 1, I need to lose 10 pounds. Month 2, 10 pounds, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So those are the benchmarks. And then what am I going to do underneath there? Well, I want to be able to sleep better. I want to hydrate better. I want to consume better. Whatever those things are.
Right.
And then if you're hitting your benchmark, celebrate. If not, then what you would do is you would adjust to those or pivot. And if you're undecided, it's kind of somewhere between. Start questioning it to be able to push it one way or another. But I want to talk specifically now when you're talking about tips to starting up a business.
Yes.
So if you're going to start it from scratch, it's really a 3-step process in its simplest terms. So number 1, what you're going to do is you're going to have to come up with an idea.
Okay.
So is that idea going to be around a service, a product, or merchandise that you're going to want to sell? Okay. Services, I think, are pretty easy to know.
Yeah.
Products are easy to know. And then people go, well, what's the difference between a product and a service? Well, for us, because we create a lot of products, we call whatever we create internally as a product, and whatever we purchase from somebody else, which is the easiest way to start up a business, that you have somebody else do all the work because it's hard to invent new things.
Right.
And then what you would do from there is you would say, okay, I'm going to buy some merchandise. But you have to have an idea. I say try to find something that you're passionate about or that you love or that there's a need out there for it or whatever, that you found trouble or so on and so forth. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is you got to blink. You got to get people's attention. You got to get the word out.
Yeah.
And we just talked about all those things.
Right.
And then the third thing is you got to take care of that client and that customer.
Yep.
And you got to go from there. The other thing that I would say on that answer is start with mindset.
Yep.
Get organized. Go and do. Collect data on what's important to you around the mindset, and then thoughtfully advance, which we've talked about 100 times. But if you're a brand new viewer, we say that on thoughtful advancement, when you collect the data, you're going to like it, dislike it, or you're going to be undecided. So if you like it, then celebrate.
Yeah.
Pop a Jolly Rancher, slap yourself on the rear, give yourself a high five, take yourself on a getaway vacation, buy a new shirt, do something.
Right.
If you do not like it, you need to either pivot or you need to adjust. Do something different. So in the case of you're trying to lose weight, maybe it's more water. I was going to, do 100 ounces, a day. Now maybe do 120. Or, I was getting 8 hours of rest. I'm going to get 9 hours or whatever the case may be. And then, like I say, upsell those customers, treat them good, so on and so forth.
Got it. For the 4th question, what are the steps involved in growing a company from good to great?
Okay, so again, I don't know if they're specifically talking about money or not, but to me, I'm going to talk about it probably 2 ways, but you may have to remind me because I mainly remember one. But one, from good to great to me is an experience. It's a cultural type thing. So we call one of our systems, it's called creating a culture of excellence.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that? Through team building, through icebreakers, through, one-on-ones, getting to know them, helping people to understand what is your horizon statement, what is your mission, what is your vision, so that it becomes really tight like a family almost.
Got it.
The best sports teams out there, are the ones that come together. They'll have a cathartic moment, and they're just like, it just really, ultimately comes together in ways that are kind of unexplainable, right?
Right.
It's like the synergy of 1 + 1 = 10 somehow.
Yeah.
And you're like, how does that work out? It just kind of works out.
Got
And then can you tell me the question again?
What are the steps involved in growing a company from good to great?
Yeah, so the specific steps, that's kind of, I like to talk about theory on one part of the continuum and then talk about the granulars. And they're asking, in my opinion, a granular question. What's the step? Step by step, so to speak. So I think it's like anything else. I think it starts with the mindset, right? And so I always say, get your mindset right about whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So whoever's asking that question probably already has a good mindset because they're wanting to go from good to great.
Right.
Right. So when you talk about that, what are some things that you're doing in the collecting the data, which is part of that individual system or a business system? What are you doing to be able to be good? And then what will it take to be great? You have to define it.
Yeah.
Right? So for us to be great, we have to serve more people. That's our number one.
Yeah.
Our second one is the money part of it. More money, more mission. That's how we look at it.
Yeah.
And the third part of that is getting stuff in and giving stuff away. And so we break that down, as I've said before, outstanding opportunity, financially fiscal, and then charitable contributions.
Got it.
And the charitable is both us giving.
Right.
We have two ways we do that, plus receiving.
Got it.
Yeah, but I think that it's starting with mindset. It's getting organized, going out and doing, right? You can't stay up in this theory world of, ready, set, or, ready, you got to fire. You as a track guy we've talked about, on your marks, get set. On your marks, get set. I mean, it'd be frustrating.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, that's where they stay. And that's why they're going to always be just good.
Right.
I've had people tell me that before. Well, it's already good. And I go, yeah. But if you thought about changing this, and this, it could be great.
Right.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
So I think they're on the right track just by asking the question. But it's a step-by-step process. And a lot of it is trial and error. But at least, measure, go ahead and cut. And then if you have to go, oh, crap, I cut it too short, go back and get something else, and it'll eventually work out.
Got it. Okay. Oh, can anyone come up with a special and memorable name for a business? My business is selling cookies and cakes and other stuff too.
Okay, Kathy's Cakes or Kathy's Cookies with the C, by the way. Yeah, I've talked about the process quite a bit, and it's funny. Very specifically on Quora, they've asked, how did I come up with the name of one of the companies or some of the companies, and it actually is the one that's most popular, which I think is interesting. So I'll just tell you how we did it the first time, but then with our other 9 businesses, we were probably still thoughtful because that's how we roll, but we weren't as thoughtful. So when we decided that the second business was going to be Consult for Kids, we were coming back from a certain area that was out of town. It was about an hour drive. And we go, you know what? We think this is going to turn into a business. We might want to figure out the name, right? We kind of already knew the tagline, which is to level the playing field for youth. So we already kind of knew, that would probably be our tagline.
Right.
Or our mission or something,
Got it.
So we just started playing and we just said, hey, what is our bottom line? Like, get to the most granular level. What are we really about? And we said supporting and helping kids. So we were like, well, kids will probably be in there somewhere. So then we started playing around and said, okay, well, how are we supporting them? So what are we trying to do?
Right.
Have you ever heard of the W's method that I use? I don't think I've ever brought that up before.
Yeah. I don't know if you have though.
Well, I'll bring it up real quick.
Yeah.
So we go, it's the why, the who, what, when, where, and how spelled backwards to make it a W.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's what we said is, why are we doing this? Want to help kids. Then we just kind of went through that process. So anyway, as we were coming back, we knew kids want to be in. We said, what are we doing to help them? The what? Right? Well, we're training the adults that work with kids. We're consulting. We're, what? That, sound and kids. And we thought, well, that could go together, even though one's a C and one's a K.
Right.
And so we kind of played around with that. And then ultimately, we said, well, okay, so what we're doing is, consulting blank kids, and we said we're consulting for kids, and then we
Right.
got creatively put the number 4 versus 4.
Yeah.
So, that was probably a little bit more of a thoughtful process. And I always say in the end, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I went into Bob's Muffler and before and asked for Bob, and Charlie is running it. And I'm like, well, where's Bob? Oh, he was the previous one. It doesn't really matter if you're a good, brander, marketer, advertiser, seller,
Right.
all of those types of things, a good networker, good, you can get referrals in, all these traditional things, because really that's what matters. But I understand that people want to be thoughtful about it.
Yeah.
So because consult for kids worked out good, I would say, Kathy's Cups with a K or something, and then put cake underneath. I don't know. I do
Yeah.
something like that.
Got it.
I charge 10% Kathy.
How does time management work for small businesses?
I think it works the same way as everything else. And, and I had kind of said in the preview about, systems aren't necessarily sexy. I'm going to turn them into a little bit sexy just so we know. But they're the ultimate time hack. And I think that if people would understand that, if it's a 1-for-1, if there's just one chore,
Yeah.
then maybe systems are a little bit slower. But if you have to do that same thing 100 times in a row, right? And I'm saving just 10 minutes here,
Yeah.
but I have to do it 100 times or 1,000 times or 10,000 times. That's why people do conveyor belts or assembly lines or different things of that nature.
Got it.
And so can you ask me that question again?
Yeah, it says, how does time management work for small businesses?
Yeah, so whether you're an individual, a small business, a big business, anywhere in between,
Yeah.
it's all about hacking little bits of time.
Right.
If I can hack 10 minutes here, but I have 1,000 people that work with me and for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a lot of minutes in just one day.
Yeah.
But what about a week? What about a month? What about?
Right.
So I think it's finding systems and structures that allow you to both formally and informally plug in. So I have formal systems out the wazoo,
Right.
but I also informally plug into parts of those all the time.
Right.
And so that's why I say I can get more done in 2 hours than most people get done in 8 hours or even a week.
Right. Got it. How much money do you need to start a business?
0. Right? I mean, if you have a service business, go knock on the door and go, hey, I'll clean your house for $20.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't need anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can clean it with your hand. It may not be effective and good.
Yeah.
So you may need, $10 to go get some cleaner and but most of them will let you borrow theirs.
Right.
My wife does. I know that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, you have your own towels, your own cleaning products, your own mop, So you can do that. Or, hey, I'm going to, pick weeds out of your grass.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need any tools. I mean, it helps if you have tools,
Right.
just like it helps if you have systems. You don't have to have systems to do things. You're just going to be slow.
Right.
And I'm going to kick your butt every time and twice on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So to me, you don't have to have any money to start, but that's what we think, which is that whole mindset piece. Ready?
Yeah.
We never even get to ready, set, go, or ready, aim, fire on your marks. We don't even get past that.
Right.
Because people want to, analyze.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Over, what do they say? Over analyzing stuff. It's analysis to paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm an analytical dude,
Yeah.
but I always go out and do too.
Right.
You can be thinking about why you're doing, and it can always change. As I told you before, first day of after school programming, I got 300 parents walking through one door and 300 it was a cluster screw.
Yeah.
But by day 2, I had them in 4 different spots and everything was smooth.
Right.
So I think that a lot of times, just as a sidebar, the listeners out there, and it doesn't matter if it's entrepreneurism, business, if you're an athlete, I can go on, it doesn't matter. If you're a mom, whatever, that people don't go because they're worried that I have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Guess what, people? That ain't going to happen anyway. So you might as well think about it a little bit, get organized around it, and go do it.
Do it. Got it. Okay. It says, what choice can I go for? I'm a 19-year-old running my own business, and it is expanding now. But my parents are telling me to stop it, and I should go to a university for 5 years, yet I don't want to.
Yeah, well, respectfully, I would say parents stay out of it for a bunch of reasons. So I have a degree that took me 5 years to get. On top of that, I have a 1 year to get a teaching credential. I think I actually got them all done in 5, but let's just say.
Yeah.
So there's a half a dozen years. And then on top of that, I had to get it cleared, which was another year on top of that. So I had 7 years, right? And I was helping a bunch of youth, which is what I wanted to do, my number one. But on top of that, if I look at it back for self for me from a financial, there wasn't a lot of money there. Right. So I went out and got a singular, I forget what they call it, like certificate or something, to sell life insurance in the state of California. And I was making, if we just looked at it for self as far as money goes.
Yes.
Now for self for me, I've already talked to you about helping people.
Right.
But the second part of it is money for us, right? So if that's the case, I was making as much money here, and it took me 30 days to get it versus 7. Right. Secondarily, and I've said this many a time, and you know this, how I feel about tradition. Traditions that don't make sense, let's get away from them. And so as I've said before, a 30-year mortgage for my mom and dad who were going to buy a house, stay in it for 30 years, die in it, the whole 9 yards, that made sense. Yeah. But for the people of my era who've either moved or refinanced 15 times, the 30-year fixed mortgage did not make sense. Or we've also talked about, hey, mommy, why did they cut the back part of the ham off? I don't know, go ask grandma. Yeah. I don't know, go ask great-grandma. Well, I don't know why those two idiots are doing it, but my pen was too short. So why are we, and that's the biggest thing that I want to get out, besides systems and hacking time, so to speak. I want to get out, why are people doing what they're doing? Is it based off of tradition? Or is it based off of choice?
Right.
And I think that that's the biggest thing, like especially when we talk about business or entrepreneurism, it gives you choice, which I dig that, right? So I choose to work 15 hours a day, but I don't have to, so on and so forth. Can you ask the last, there's one more thing I want to say on that question. Parents. So, no offense to parents, but the bottom line is that, again, not just the money part of it, but obviously, if you already have a business and it's successful and so on and so forth, and I could see me telling you if it was 30 years ago, hey, I think you should go to school and get a 5-year degree or a 4-year degree. I think it made sense.
Right.
I don't think it makes sense anymore. So again, why are we doing things based off of tradition? So lovingly and kindly, please tell your parents to butt out. Unless you live under their roof, and then you at least have to listen to them, but you still need to go do your own thing. And again, if they don't want to listen to that, then you're under their roof and you'll need to listen and comply or get the stepping, right?
Right. What are disadvantages of having inventory?
Oh, geez. So as you know, we've had a thrift store before. So there's inventory and then there's inventory. Meaning this, so let's say like a 7-Eleven or a Walmart. Yeah. Some of those shelves are stocked by the employees, but a lot of them are, if you're Coca-Cola person will come in and stock them, or Dr. Pepper or whatever. Right. So if you're getting other people to stock the stores, then that's, better than what I'm getting ready to tell you, right? The other part about it is that if you're getting somebody else to do it, not only is it saving you time, you're just giving them space, basically like a vendor in an antique mall. The other thing is on one of our buildings, we had 6,000 square feet. And we were running out of room. If you have inventory. The third part of inventory is you could get caught with it.
Having too much, you mean?
Yeah, I know my mom made calendars one year, and guess what? They're only good for that year. Yeah. And if you don't sell them by then, and they didn't sell them all, so they're just sitting there. It's basically just paper, so to speak. Right. And then can you ask me again? Because there's a second part.
What are the disadvantages of having inventory?
Yeah, so to me, that's the disadvantages. But the bigger disadvantage is that's bad enough. But in the thrift store, you have to put up all the stuff. And then if you get in something like we did before, we had it all perfectly set up. It was so beautiful. Everything was nice and neat. And some dude gets a divorce from his wife, and he had built a 1,500 square foot Coca-Cola shrine display, stuff all over the world. And he goes, I don't want any of it. I'm donated. Yep. So we were like, oh, crap. I just did that display and that whole row, 20 feet long by 10 feet high. Yeah. I've got to find a place to move all that, and now I got to move Coca-Cola. And this was happening all the time. Yeah. So it's very time intensive depending on which two of those levels that you go with.
Okay, what is important to learn in order to be a millionaire in the future?
Well, I always tell people, hey, if I give you $3 million right now, or if I give you a penny day double for the next 30 or 31 days, who wins?
Right.
And I'll take the $3 million.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the number is, but I think like on the 30 or 31st day, it's like 5.8 million. I know we've done that before.
Yeah, it's either like 5.8 or 6.4. It's something like that.
Yeah, it's a chunk, right?
Yeah.
And so what I tell people is that there's all kinds of different ways to get there.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about the guy, and this is a true story. I think he didn't make over like $20,000 a year, and he donated $30 million.
Oh wow.
Yeah, when he died, because he just took a certain percentage of that amount of money, and it accrued over a long period of time. So we live on what we call a 60-40 rule, and so we'll spend 60% of our money on the normal whatever, and then what we'll do is we'll divide up 40% of that, and we'll go 10% to tithe. We'll go 10% to what we call an emergency fund. Your washer goes out or different things of that nature. And then we would go 10% into a long-term set it and forget it. That guy had a long-term set it and forget it and got to $30 million. And I tell people, I don't care what you start with.
Right.
But every time you increase, if you do it by percentages, then you just increase by then.
Yeah.
Well, if you're making, $20,000 this year and $200,000 next year, what's 10%? $20,000.
Yeah.
$20,000 over a 20, 30 year period, you're going to get to $1 million pretty quick with compound interest, right? And then the fourth one, we do what we call high return accounts. It could be the stock market, or we buy real estate, or I'm going to purchase this item for 100 and try to sell it for 200, or different things of that nature. But I think the first thing is it's a mindset, and then you got to set your plan around it. And just know that this will give you multiple ways to be able to get there. But if all else fails, take a penny and double it every day for 2 days, and you'll get there within 30 days. Or
for 31 days.
For 31 days, I talk in the Ebonics sometimes. Thank you very much.
What are the elements of a good business pitch?
So we've talked about that before, where I look at it like you're in an elevator. And you're trying to get to the whatever 10th floor, 50th floor, whatever.
Yes.
And so I'll give you a bad one and a good one right off the bat, and then we'll talk about more details of it.
Yeah.
So I dry people's wet cars off. That's the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's like, woohoo, yay, right? Or I control millionaires and billionaires with the wave of my hand. Right? Now, which one do you want?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no brainer. Well, guess what? It's the same person.
Yeah.
It's the person that was drying off my car. Right? So I was at a local place. I took it in. They do their thing.
Yeah.
And, I just was thinking, I'm always thinking about whatever. I got nothing else to do. I ain't picking their weeds. So I try to maximize time hacks, whatever. And I was like, that guy's controlling me with the wave of his hand or the towel.
Yeah.
And I said, damn. It kind of bothered me a little bit, but it also made sense for a pitch. So I look at it like, hey, you're going to get on elevator on floor 1 and act like you only have 1 floor to be able to do this.
Right.
And so you're either going to make a shock statement or ask a question that gets people to really think.
Yeah.
So when I say I control millionaires by the wave of my hand,
right.
I'm at least a floor 2.
Yeah.
You'll probably give me 2, 3, and 4 because you're still whacked out about whatever.
Right.
So I say that's floor 1, and then floors 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's when you're, selling yourself and your own credibility. They say in sales, you sell yourself first, and then whatever. And then, floors 4 through whatever, you're talking about your product or your service or whatever and how it will help. And then towards the end of that, whatever, I don't know what floor I'm on now, but 10 to 12, you're talking how it can help them, so on and so forth. And then your closing is going to be something really powerful. So I don't know if you remember McConaughey and Lincoln Lawyer or whatever. I think it was that it was like a white hick town or something.
Yeah.
And they were doing some bad stuff to that little black girl.
Yeah.
And so he said, close your eyes. And then he went through the whole thing. And he said, now imagine she's white.
Right.
Whoa, right? That's a close. You know what I'm saying? And that turned this hick town into where they should have been to begin with, right? So I think that's the big part of a sales pitch or whatever. Just look like you're going up an elevator.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say is this, though. And so we had a program that was a national program. And we forgot this every doggone year when we were asking for money when we were at the school district. Mm-hmm. And this served 30 adults, and then it wound up serving hundreds of kids.
Okay.
But anyway, we forgot, so we were talking about the kids, and we're going to help the kids. But that was from our point of view.
Yeah.
And I don't mean they didn't care about the kids, but they cared about what they cared about.
Right.
So we always got re-upped every year. But by the third year, I think we finally figured out they don't want to talk about the kids. They want to talk about them and their program. So that would be the final thing I would say is yes, you're going to sell yourself. Yes, you're going to sell your service. But just remember, you're really, trying to put them in a position to where they're getting what they want.
Right. Yeah. Got it. What issue should a business owner consider when purchasing inventory for the business?
Well, I think it's finding underpriced stuff and then making sure it sells. So as you well know in the card business, so I'll go and buy, let's say, well, it's really a hobby, but you call it a business. I'll go buy 100,000 cards and there may be, let's say 80% of them are commons.
Yep.
Meaning they're not worth hardly anything.
Right.
Then you have 20% that are worth some good money maybe and whatever. But of that 20%, maybe 18%, you can't really sell. Just because you have something that's really good and it's underpriced and if you can't sell it, then who cares?
Right.
Yeah, so then you have the stuff that sells. So as I've told people many a time, would you rather have, these 100 items that you're only making 10% on, but they sell like hotcakes? Or would you rather have these 100 items that you're going to make 2,000% on your money and they may or may not sell?
Right.
Do some math. So I would just make sure that you're getting the right kinds of inventory, putting it in the right spots.
Yeah.
Right? So we always say we go into Walmart to buy a loaf of bread and we come out with a bicycle, a TV, a nightstand. Yeah. Right? Because they're putting things in strategic on what we call the end caps, or especially like with me, you said the other day when we were in Walmart, you're like a little damn kid, like because I was just looking around. There's candy, and then there's this and that, right? And so people do that on purpose. They're not stupid,
right?
So, but I would say find underpriced inventory, but make sure it's stuff that's gonna actually sell.
Yeah. Inexpensive business ideas that are the most successful.
Yeah, so the networking, right? It's slower, but the ratios of sales go way up. And so I learned that in the insurance and financial services business. I told you I had a guru, and that's the only method he would use.
Right.
Like if you emailed somebody or text them, or I don't even know if we were DMing by then, but I don't remember if social media was around. He was like, he'd give you the evil stare, like he didn't have it.
Right.
And it made sense. So I think that that's a really good way to get something and get something quick.
Right.
If nothing else, you're buying yourself.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? If I ask you for $5, you'll tell me yes.
Right.
If I ask my neighbor for $5, he's going to tell me to take a leap.
Right.
But if I go ask my mom, my dad, my aunt, my cousin, my sister, my whatever, so no matter what I'm selling. Now, I also tell people on the reverse side of that, don't be part of the NFL club. And that's not the National Football League. That's no friends left or no family left, because you're badgering them. Because a lot of these guys, they're raccoons.
Right.
Raccoons chase the next shiny object. So today it's Amway, the next day it's this. Don't do that. But if you're good to people and you've been good to people historically, they'll probably want to be good back to you.
Got it. Oh, how did you turn your passion into your business?
Yeah, I'm going to put a little line here so you don't have to search through it. Well, for me, that period, right? It's all about that. If I'm not passionate about it, I won't do it. I do not care. What's one of the reasons why I got out of the financial services business? I liked it, but I didn't love it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I still do it, and I think there's a great need for it because, as we talked about, people don't do 60-40. They don't do anything but 100 or 110%, right? They spend 110% of their money called debt. But if I don't really believe in it and I don't feel like it's purposeful or I'm super passionate about it, I just won't do it to begin with. Now, that being said, I always like to go the other side. I will do some things around some stuff that I'm not really that passionate and purposeful about just to make some extra money because I want to go and, like we did, with the kids. Here's $1,000 for shoes. Here's $10,000 for new uniforms. Here's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'll do that, but there'll be no longevity to it. It'll be kind of a one and done or a couple and done or whatever.
Right.
The money's just not that important to me.
Got it. What advice do you recommend to a teenager starting their own business?
Same way I would with an 80-year-old. It doesn't matter. So whatever your business is, your business idea, like I said, that's step one. Hopefully it's something that you have purpose with or you're passionate about or that you love. And so from there, you got to go get attention. Right? Hey, guys, this is what I'm doing. I sell flowers. I'm sharing, the Bible with you. Whatever it is that you're trying to get their attention about.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of different ways, as we've already talked about, to get people's attention. Hey, Nick, I want to share the Bible with you. Right? Hey, Nick, I got a sports card that I'll sell you that you just donated to our nonprofit. I want to sell it back to you. Yeah. Right? But you get attention out there. Yeah. And then once you get their attention, you sell them and they become part of your pack. Right? What I call the POIs. You're now my peeps. Right. And I'm going to take really good care of you. And then as the timing's right, I'm going to upsell you. But I'm not going to upsell you every 4 seconds. Yeah. Right? I'm going to share with you, hey, thank you so much. I may say that 8 times in a row. And then I may say on the 10th time or the 9th time, hey, by the way, I have toothpaste that you might want with your toothbrush. Right. We'll upsell them, so to speak. Yeah. But to me, it's the same simple process over and over again. What people are afraid of is to go, hey, Nick. Right. And so if your traditional method, social media, or different, if that's not working, then go, hey, Nick, it works really well. More time intensive, but if you're not making anyway, you're getting ready to go bankrupt. Hey, Nick. Right. You mean no? Well, do you know of somebody? And they're going to go, oh, do I, that's what you would think in the referral Like, no, just your mom and your dad, your friends and your family. Right. Boom. Hey, Jill, I'm sitting here talking to Nick. Jill's your mom. Yeah. Right? And it just goes that direction.
Got it.
Yeah.
Did COVID serve as an encourager or discourager to start your online business?
Well, we had already started it, but I think that the question probably is asking for everybody, across the board who had not, had some kind of online reps, so to speak. And I would say, I don't know, it depends what kind of person it is. So people used to ask me all the time, hey, should I send my kid over to this program? This YMCA, this Boys and Girls Club, this whatever. Yeah. Especially when it was around youth, right? Yes. Should I do that? Or in business, they'd say, hey, should I go to this particular distributor? Should I go? And I would always ask the same question. I don't know. Let me go interview their leader. Yeah. And they'd be like, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, are there good Boys and Girls Clubs programs out there? Yep. And are there bad ones? I'm sure. Yep. Right? Or when you walk into the Walmart and you say, hey, where's whatever, and the guy kind of points in aisle 3, and then there's a person that walks you over. So usually it's the person that's running it. Yeah. I think, let's see, who was that old man that just found that out last week? Oh, Tom Brady? Mm-hmm. I think Tampa Bay might have found out that it might be about the person running it. Yeah. Right? And so I think that's where a lot of times people will ask questions, and it's like, I can't give you a blanket answer. Yeah. Let me go talk with that dude for 5 minutes and I'll probably figure it out. Right.
Yeah. Is it possible to earn $1 million in revenue with a one-person or one-man, one-woman business?
Oh, simple. Go in the financial services industry, which is what I did. You can earn $1 million on your own pen pretty quickly. Yeah. I mean, so my biggest transaction was $50K in my pocket. I rolled over some money.
Yeah.
And I took 8 pieces of paper
Yeah.
and I went and signed it, and had the client sign it, and it went from here and their 401k over to one of these insurance companies, and that insurance company paid me 10%. There we go, 50 grand in my pocket. Well, how many of those do you need to do? It took me literally 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to do anything on the back end.
20 of those.
There you go. Yeah, it's not that difficult to do it. I think there's been some people you've been telling me about that have been doing the bartering thing, and they, like trade this and trade that. All of a sudden they got $1 million Ferrari or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, when there's a will, there's a way. If money is the most important thing to you, it ain't that hard.
Yeah.
Go out and start asking a bunch of people.
Right.
They'll probably give it to you over the course of whatever. Yeah, probably. If you ask enough people, somebody go, oh. I see them out there on the streets all the time on the freeways.
Yeah.
They're claiming they're homeless. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. And I see people giving them money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure it's possible.
We had the one here in Bakersfield. He would hang out at a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
From 7 in the morning to 7 at night.
Yeah.
And he had his car in the back.
Yeah.
Of the 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm.
Parked it.
Yeah, we used to have, this is no joke, so we used to do a lot of giveaways. We worked in a low socioeconomic area when we were teaching and stuff. So we would do food banks and food drives and stuff. Dude, these ladies would drive up full Escalades, rocking the 15s or 19s or whatever, the spinners, full on, $80 manicured dress, way nicer than I could ever even think about dressing, and asking for food.
Yeah.
And we had to give it to them because they were on the list.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is something not right about this.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Which one of the following is better? Getting your bachelor's degree and securing work or career, or starting your own business, or my own business for this person?
Yeah, again, I think it depends on the person. So I went a non-traditional route or route to become an entrepreneur and businessman.
Yeah.
So I started, I was an employee my whole life. I did some entrepreneurial things we've talked about, opened up my own card store, went to the swap, sold stuff, different things. Like I sold the world's finest chocolates when I was a kid. So I did a bunch of that. But basically I was an employee as well my whole life until I was like 35. And so I became a school teacher. I became program manager for an after-school program. All those things.
Yes.
And then I became an entrepreneur and businessman.
Right.
I love the path.
Mm-hmm.
But if I would have went straight business and entrepreneur and become an employee, I'd love that too.
Yeah.
Because to me, I would have made lemon out of lemonades either direction. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody said, well, you have to decide, they got a gun to your head, 50.1, 49.9, I would say become an entrepreneur and a businessman from my standpoint, because you have a lot more creative control and choice than you would the other direction.
Right.
And then, if money's that important to you, the funds are potentially unlimited.
Got it.
Yeah.
And I think you said it backwards. I think you said I'd make lemons out of lemonade.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. I'm dyslexic. I got ADD, ADHD. I got more acronyms than all those PhDs out there.
Oh, can you give, I spelled way, can you give away 3 things to kickstart your project or startup business? Yeah,
so I think that's funny because you can just blame it on Quora.
Yeah.
You just copy and paste it. I didn't do that. That was Joe. That's what most people do, right? It's everybody else's fault. I call it defend, deflect, justify, explain, rationalize, clarify, throw a rock in the bush. Or my all-time favorite is blame somebody else, right? Not my wife, but my mistress. Just kidding. So question was again?
Can you give away 3 things to kickstart your project?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I don't know this, but we have something that we're getting ready to come out with in 30 days, or maybe, usually if you say 30, we're like construction workers, it'll be like 60 or 90.
Well, not California, they suck. I get you.
He said it, I didn't. But anyway, I think you definitely can, and I think that people definitely do. I don't know this to be the case, but I think like Red Bull, maybe it was one of the original energy drink people, and they would go to whatever those crazy,
like dirt bike.
Yeah, or planes going, you know,
yeah.
all that. What do they call
Like
that?
nitro circus.
Yeah, but they have a name for that. It's some kind of, anyway, whatever that was. And I think they would set up shop, and then they would give things away, samples, selling, whatever. I mean, if it works for Costco, it'll work for everybody else, right? They give things away. We do it all the time. That's part of our charitable contributions.
Right.
That we are able. We call them gifts or freebies.
Yeah.
And so freebies would be like supplies.
Okay.
You know, like penny savers for, you know, or common cards, or even any kind of cards.
Yeah.
Sports card, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. And then the gifts are going to be educational materials, best practices, trick trades, ebooks, courses, blah, blah, blah. And so we do it all the time. Now, we do it more not to get business, but because we're in a position where we want to be able to help. And, well, technically, not just a position. We've always been there. That's what we've done.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think you can. But I also think, you know, look at your ulterior motive. If you're doing that to just get something back in return, it'll probably bite you.
Right.
If you're doing it because you're a good person and you want to share it out there and you hope that it comes back to you, great.
Right.
No problem. So I think a lot of it depends on your, you know, whatever's between your own ears.
Yeah.
I always say the difference between motivation and manipulation.
Right on that.
You're the only one that really knows.
Yeah. Yeah. What has worked for you that is uncommon knowledge and you'd like to share with the world in business? I can't say that, but
Yeah. No, I think that it's how good networking and referrals work. Mm-hmm. And so, again, it's a little bit more time intensive, a little bit more cumbersome.
Yeah.
But I think everybody and their mother wants ease. And, you know, it's easy to put out 10,002 blinks on Facebook, right? But then the audience, they're not looking at them. We try to look at the audience and say, what are they thinking? Well, if they think it's spammy, they're shutting down from it. So, you know, because nobody wants to be told no.
Right.
And I could care less, right? Hey, will you give me $5? No. Hey, will you give me $5? Hey, will you give me $5? I mean, somebody's going to say yes, and probably several somebodies.
Right.
So I just think that you know, what was the exact phraseology was the,
what
you got to sneeze?
Yeah. What
You got to look at the sun.
What has worked for you that's uncommon knowledge?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's uncommon. I think it's probably uncommon, but it's definitely unused or not used as much because it's a little bit more time to do that than to press a button on an email or a text.
Yeah.
But the ratios are a lot better.
Where do the best business ideas start?
Right in your head, right?
Shower.
Yeah, in the shower. That is true. That's a proven fact. Well, you know, to me, that's a cart before the horse, chicken before the egg, lemon before the lemonade.
Yeah.
You know, different things like that. But to me, some of the greatest things were there was trouble. Somebody saw some sort of a troubled area, and then they said, I can do this and beat that trouble. Mm-hmm. Or they said, I can build a better mousetrap. So the mousetrap's there, but I can do something better. And so I think that there's the iterative process, if that's a word. And so, you know, either on starting something new, we've talked about that before, inventor, innovator, all that stuff, or are you just, you know, copycatting and changing and, you know, different things of that nature. I think they'll both work. Yeah. And I think they can both be effective, but in the end, you got to find something that's not quite right and try to fix it.
Got it. Okay, so this one I was trying to read, because I don't know if I mistyped it or I typed it correctly in it. So it says, what business students start during college life? So I think it's just a comma. What businesses do students start during college life?
Again, I think it's the previous answer, you know. So let's say that I'm in the dorm and I see that there's only one vending machine every 3 floors. Yeah. So then I go buy a bunch of candy and because I know that's how these guys are going to eat. Yeah. And I set up my own vending right in front, right? I'm solving somebody's issue and I'm making an extra $100, you know, a day or $50 a day or $100 a week to help, you know, subsidize or pay for my whatever. Right. But I think it's the same thing. I think you just got to find trouble and then go deal with it, or, you know, take a side hustle and turn it into something. Right. You know, but it's all kind of that same thing. Yeah. Step 1, what do you want to do? Step 2, go get attention. Step 3, sell them and keep them, right?
Right.
That's it.
Got it. Why are startups good for the economy?
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's startups or full-fledged, veteran type businesses. And I wouldn't have known this as a teacher because, you just don't think like that.
Yeah.
But so let's think about it as I'm trying to think one of my smallest enterprises. I'm going to go back to let's say well, no, that's not small. Let's go with the thrift store. It was fairly small.
Mm-hmm.
So we wound up having like 2 to 2.5, 3 employees. So if we stop there, it's helping those 3.
Yeah.
Right. One of them had 5 kids. Another one of them was trying to go through college. Another one of them was trying to figure their, right?
Yeah.
So if we just stop there, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was also 2 owners, and it helped them to do whatever they were trying to get accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what about the customers? Well, we had 100 people a day walk through there. Maybe not all of them bought, but they needed something.
Yeah.
And they needed it obviously at a good price, which we sold.
Right.
So it could have been as simple as toilet paper and a necessity like that, or it could have been the Coca-Cola that looks good on the mantle or everywhere in between.
Right.
But bigger than that, so now we're just going to, well, what about what I call the external internals?
Mm-hmm.
What about my CPA? They're getting paid by me. Do they have kids? Are they doing it right? I could go on and on.
Yeah.
So this is really a pebble in the water, and where do the ripples go? It's pretty crazy what even a small business. So that's a pretty doggone small business, like 2.5 employees,
Right.
and 2 owners, a partnership.
Yeah.
So then you go to all of that, right? Oh,
Yeah.
We got the custodial staff, we got the the CPA, and then we've got the externals, which is everybody. So I don't know. I mean, you used to work for us. You still do. Do you eat?
Yep.
Do you eat at Kentucky Fried Chicken ever?
Yeah.
Burger King?
Yeah.
Well, now that Burger King is employing people,
Right.
and those people have kids, and then right? I mean, it can get really crazy if you really think about it. And so when they used to say the phrase of small business is the heartbeat of America, I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
Oh, you bet your lifesavers I know what it is now.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
What is the most common cause of business failure?
Well, I put it in 3 areas. If you want me to put it in one, I'd say stupidity. But there's really always 3 areas. It's either a mindset issue of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
It is a structured systems of some sort. Or it's the actual person.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So I've been up and down the state of California consulting in after-school programs. I've been up and down the state of California and throughout the nation in different parts of it doing different business consultations.
Yeah.
I've consulted individuals. I've consulted groups. I've taught groups in a preventative way with leadership programs. Bob, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Right? It always comes down to those. And I've opened up 10 of my own businesses that are running strong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at that, it's a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes down to the same 3 things over and over again. It's either a crappy mindset or an off mindset or a problem. And when I say mindset, I mean, it could be your philosophy. It could be, it's a bigger picture than that, but it's mindset. It comes down to structured systems, which is what I find the most, right? Because most people want to do it right.
Yeah.
But just because you want to do it right doesn't mean you have the right mindset, right? If I want to do it right, well, are you working 14 hours a day to start with? Well, no. I want to do it right working 4 hours a day. Well, that's a mindset problem. There's no startup or any other thing that's going to be any good on 4 hours a day. Unless you're lucky, which, go ahead and go play the lottery then. Or go, on the play, roulette or whatever. Chiquita banana. And then, but I find the structured systems holds people back, especially with growth and what I call scaling or going, really wide. And then sometimes the person's a donkey, right?
Yeah.
What I call the quadrant 3ers. They may be extremely talented, but low motivation.
Yeah.
And so it just depends on that kind of stuff, J.J. Watt just left. Do I think that he has a good mindset? Yep.
Yeah.
Do I think that he has structured systems? Yep. Although I would like to talk to his guy because he does get hurt a little bit more than most.
Yeah.
And so maybe an MMA coach could come in and help him. Because I know when you started rolling out, you never got hurt,
Yeah.
right? When we went to my buddy, and so and I don't know. He's a big guy,
Yeah.
so I'm not. I'm sure he gets the best or whatever. I don't know, but I'd like to look into it a little bit more. Maybe just because he plays so doggone hard or whatever. And then the person is him, and I think he's the right person. So he's going to be successful. But if you look at his organization, they probably got a mindset problem. They surely got structured systems problem because they're getting a new coach in, so they don't even know what their structured systems are. In the front office, it sounds like, let alone down here. I can help. You probably don't want me to help means I'm bashing you, but I can help you. And then, do you have the right people? I don't know. I don't know if this coach is any good. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Right?
But can't be doing too good if 3 of their best players want to leave.
Probably, right?
One did leave. One got out of there. With DeAndre Hopkins and now second with J.J. Watt, and it sounds like Deshaun Watson's had enough.
Probably there's an issue, but that may not have to do with the coach. He's new. We don't know.
Yeah.
But if you look at Flores at the Dolphins, he's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the right stuff going. So, I don't know. Is he doing that because of who he is, meaning the person? Mm-hmm. 3. Does he have structures and systems? Probably. Yeah. Does he have a good mindset? Yes. So probably that's going to work out at whatever level. It's still tough to get to the top.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would say.
How did learning about business become so easy for you?
Oh, I think that's a bunch of bull too. Other than the fact that I think that there's the science and there's the art. Some people just have natural gifts in entrepreneurism or sales, or people have the gift of gab or different things like that. So, but I don't think any of it's necessarily easy, and depending on what level you want to go to. So I don't care. Talking about J.J. Watt, I don't care if you're J.J. Watt. I bet you his work ethic is amazing. So he's physically gifted. He's got all of the art.
Yeah.
He's a stud. His brother's a stud. His family's probably studs, right? I mean, but I bet you if those guys didn't work hard, they would have been fine, obviously in grade school and maybe even in the pros for a couple of years, but the longevity would not be there because there's a bunch of people that have that kind of physical attribute, a little bit of a mindset, but not the work, whatever. Yeah. So I think that you have to, put those 3 things we talked about earlier together in the blender in a smoothie to make it work.
Got it. Will someone running a startup have time to attend graduate school?
Yeah, this is always my favorite question. Or when we used to do normed agreements, they would go, "Oh, be on time, and then be respectful." I go, "Be respectful." Well, if you came into my house, you would not think we were being respectful, but it was very respectful. But to an outsider, it looked like World War IV. We would argue, we would debate, we'd get, we'd wrestle, we would do whatever when I was a kid. And so, can you ask the question again? Because I wanted to go somewhere.
Yeah, will someone running a startup also have time to attend?
Yeah, so I tell people that the majority of my life, I had 3 types of that question all the time.
Right.
So I had school, and we all did for 8 hours, right? And then I had my job, which was 2 to 4 hours. And then I had sports, which was 2 to 4 hours.
Right.
So the last I checked, if anybody, it's laughable to me when they say, well, can I do this and this? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you can do this, this, and that if you wanted to, right? I mean, especially when you're young, geez, you probably need half dozen hours of sleep. So, I used to get by pretty good on probably 4 or 5. Now I need a little bit more because I'm old. Yeah. But yeah, come on, people. Set your mind to something. You can do whatever you want. 14-hour days is not bad. And take 1 day off and don't do anything. Just, lay there, vegetate out. But if you worked a half a dozen days a week and then just completely did nothing on 1 day, probably a good thing.
This person asked, if I wanted to start my own, or if I wanted to open a company, can you help me?
Yeah, I'll help anybody. I've helped people for free. I've helped people for percentages. I've helped people for money. A certain consulting fee. I've helped people for money and a percentage. I've helped. Yeah, hit me up, right? Yeah. But the worst thing I can do is go like this. You ready? No, but I'll listen to just about anything, or I'll have some of my guys listen, And if you get by them, then you can get to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, hey, I want to help. I'm not kidding about this.
Yeah.
Think I'm doing this, for 4 hours a week for my health? No, I want to help people. Right? And if I can help you and help me, that's a win-win. And if you're only getting help and I'm not, I don't love it.
Yeah.
Right? Or vice versa, I definitely don't like it.
Yeah.
But I've been helping my whole life and don't necessarily get stuff back in return. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. All right. So we got the last 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
How much would it cost to buy a small business?
Well, let's see. The last business I bought was $2,500.
Uh-huh.
And we turned it into $60,000 a year in like somewhere between 4 months and 12 months. So the whole business was $2,500. Guess what I did? I found underpriced stuff. Somebody that wanted to sell a business and they had a bunch of inventory, more probably where they didn't even know.
Yeah.
In the basements and different things of that nature. Or you can just, start your own business and do it for zero. Or you can do a business where people pay you money, like to go haul stuff off and then you pull stuff out and sell it. But yeah, I mean, to me, there's a lot of underpriced stuff out there and there's a lot of businesses. And guess what? There are going to be a lot more. There's 79 to 90 million baby boomers that run businesses that are heading towards retirement and their kids are going, I don't want any part of it. Right? So, there's plenty of businesses out there that you can get for a really reasonable price and you can build up on it pretty quickly. If you do what? Have a good mindset, structured systems, hopefully along with a mentor or coach. Yeah. That's another thing I want to just stop. It trips me out how people are like, well, I just want to do this by myself. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yes, Brett. Yes, Brett. Yes, Brett. Yes, Coach Little Z23. So did you go to school by yourself? No, I had a teacher. Oh, you mean like a coach or a mentor? What about all the JJ Watts? How many coaches has he had? Right? What about, but in business, we don't want any mentorship or we don't want any guidance. We're going to go do it on our own. I'm like, that's not smart. Right? If you get the right business mentor, do you want 100% of, $1 million or do you want 90% of 100 million? I don't know. Do the math on it. It always cracks me up. I'm like, hey, to each their own.
This one says, how much is a startup CEO salary?
It depends what the startup is. So my first business, I was getting paid $3,000. And then, I'd get bonuses or dividends or different things like that. Yeah. But it depends what kind of business it is, right? I mean, if you go run Coca-Cola, it's probably several millions and millions and millions of dollars plus perks, plus incentives, plus bonus. I mean, I could go on and on. So it depends how big the startup is, right? But if it's a small one, then you're not going to make a lot, right? But I always look at it and say, people are like, well, man, I want to make $100,000. I'm like, oh, okay. How much you think those teachers are making? And how many years of school have you went to? Oh, 0? Okay, so this guy went to school for 5 years. And they start off at $40,000 a year. But you've done none of that. And how many businesses have you run to be successful? 0? But you want $70,000 to start. Okay, that's logical. I'll hire you right now. Please call 1-800, not going to happen. Yeah. Right? I mean, come on.
Right. For the last question, you've already answered this before, so I'm going to spin the question. But the original question says, can you start a business after 40, which you've already answered. So my question is, why do you think people, for lack of better words, are afraid to start a business after 40?
Well, I mean, by the time you're 40, I've asked you this 100 times, do you make more money now than you did 3 years ago and 2 years ago? So by the time you're 40, which I was a little younger than that, but I was at the height of my market.
Yep.
I mean, let's think about what an idiot I am potentially, right? So I walk away from a 6-figure income. I walk away from health, dental, vision, retirement, 101 sick days. Yeah. I knew exactly what I was doing. I was the big cheese. I was the boss. I had 223 employees, 23 secretaries. I mean, dude, what else do you want in life, right? It's kind of like the devil. What an idiot he is.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, here's God and here's the devil. And he didn't like it to be second. So he started lying, cheating. It doesn't make sense. But for me, it did because I was ready to go to the next level.
Right.
I wasn't just okay with helping 10,000. My goal was 100 million youth. Well, I can't do that there.
Right.
So because money wasn't important to me, and I said, this is my number one, then I could go. But most people are afraid because of the money, because of the normalcy of it. Is normalcy a word? I always ask you the word. You don't know anything. You got an F in language arts.
No.
You were smarter in math, though.
Yeah, that's black and white answer.
Yeah. So anyway, normalcy, if that's a word, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's routine. It's right, which is systems.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. You don't want to bust out of the system or whatever. But again, I tell people, like I did at the beginning, does your system work? Does it make sense? Is it based off of tradition or did you choose it? Blah, 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 so on and so forth. But I understand it.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying jump all the way in. I just put my little toe in, and then I started to gravitate over. And now I'm all the way over and then some. Yeah. Do it your way. Don't do what. Well, my mom said, well, was your mom ever done that before? Well, maybe don't ask your mom. Maybe ask a mentor.
Yeah.
Somebody that could be systemic and help you. Because that's the other thing. If you ask a mentor and they can only do it from who they are, I mean, they have to touch it.
Yeah.
But they can't systematize it and grow what, then you don't want to talk to them either.
Right.
Yeah, unless they're going to run your business.
Well, that's it for the business section of the Quora. As we're closing out, is there any final words?
Yeah, Quora, can you be nicer to me? I'm just trying to give good and correct answers. You mean I'm violating your policy? Jeez.
Well, now we move into the bonus questions.
Well, bonus.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how funny are you?
I don't know, probably 7.
7?
Yeah, I mean, people
I'll give you an 8.
people say I'm funny because I'm blunt and I say, stuff. But I mean, I've listened to some of these comedians, and they just see the world differently. And I think entrepreneurs do too.
Yeah.
And I think I could be a comedian. But I probably scare them all, I got that frown on my face all the time because I'm serious. I'm like doing the different things. But I think I'm okay funny. So I don't think, what's his name, Seinfeld, I don't think he has anything to worry about. But I could come for you.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Right here.
Not business-wise.
Oh. Well, hopefully I see less of myself. Right now I'm getting my butt kicked. Fits and start. Yeah. I'm trying this out. It works for 2 days. It's like, but hopefully there'll be less of me. And so if you say not in business,
so
what do you mean?
Still in the same town.
Yeah.
Same home, so those kind of things.
Nah, I think we're gonna move to a compound.
Okay.
So it'll give a chance for my kids to, if they want to have their own little spot or whatever. Yeah. Sounds worse than it is, but just I'd like to get some land and stuff. Yeah. This house has served us well. It got you to the right schools and friends around and different things of that nature. And so now it's just the comfortability factor. Yeah. But in the same breath, I got my 2-man caves. My wife has 403 hair products, so I guess we're doing okay. But yeah, I think we'll definitely be in Bakersfield. We may go get another place outside of town that we can go and visit and spend some time there and whatnot. But I think I'm a good 20 years out from where I really want to be holistically. But hey, we're getting there fast. We're already up to almost 40 million youth. Yeah. So when we get to 100 million, I'll just probably double it.
Yeah, double it.
200 million. Yeah.
Any dogs?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. My one baby girl. So it was your little sister who's now older than you in dog years. Yeah, she's 98 next month.
Okay, but it doesn't work. Then I'm 7 times 23.
No, that's not dog years. No, you're human. She's dog.
But
I didn't make the rules up. Why are you argue with me? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we just lost the brother to this dog, and Sissy, she got a bad heart problem. We thought we were going to lose her months ago. She outlives the boy dog, who we thought would live forever, and he winds up getting cancer and dies, and we're like, oh man, this sucks. So, but yeah, my wife's especially, she's a big time dog lover. And I love animals too.
How many languages do you speak?
Just English. But I speak, if you wanted me to be a smart aleck, so I do sign language like A, B, C.
Oh yeah.
So the reason I learned that was because in sixth grade the girls were talking about the boys, and that's how they would do it. So I wanted to learn like who liked who, and then I'm really good at reading body language. I would say that I'm probably a 7.5 out of 10 on body language or people or different things of that nature, and it ticks my wife off because I know it's going to come out of her mouth before whatever. And then obviously I know a little bit, of Spanish or different things of that nature, but very poquito, very small, right?
Yes. The most intelligent person you know?
Well, discounting Jesus, my mom, by far, hands down, not even close, slam dunk. And like I said, I've been around some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
People from, on CNN, and people that have wrote books that you guys have all read, and professional athlete. I mean, education. I've been around high level educators, Department of Ed of this and that. I mean, my mom will wipe the street with all you guys, just so we're clear.
And then the last thing, what is one thing you will never do again? Not including like something like, not business-wise, just personally.
I will never, I promise the audience, I will never wear underwear only underneath this particular situation. I will always wear at least shorts.
No, silly.
I was kidding.
Oh, okay. I said do again.
Yeah, I would never do that again.
Yeah, you've never done that again?
I'm doing it right now.
No.
I could be going commando. Nobody would know. They can't see anything.
That's true.
Yeah, so, and we do know he lies, because in one of the videos he said he beat me and all this stuff in some sporting endeavor, which we all know was a bunch of crap, so agree to disagree. That's what you
I'm just going to disagree.
Never do again. I don't know, because I'm pretty, chicken. I'm pretty conservative. I don't put myself out there a lot. So I don't think that, what? Tell me. Talk
Really?
to me.
When you were driving and you had to beat them, so you drove over the curb?
Oh, I was 16.
Well, I said never do it again.
Well, but I probably would do that. Quick story on that before we get you guys out of here. So we would race to McDonald's from my high school at lunch to the local McDonald's. That's when there was only McDonald's, by the way. And so they were beating me, and there was no way for me to win unless I went the wrong way on the 2-lane whatever. Well, I didn't judge the fact that there was a car because it was coming over the hill, so I didn't want to be in their way, so I had to pop the curb. And I had a nice El Camino. It was all midnight blue and had a bra on it, and had the thing on the back and a bumping stereo and nice inky rims. Yeah, that popped and broke, and I am happy to say that I didn't hurt anybody because I was an idiot. Probably not, unless I'm racing you.
Yeah. We'll appreciate it, and then we'll get back later and do Quora questions, but for entrepreneurship.
All right, thank you guys.
Gotcha.
If you need to contact Brett or Coach, please do so on his social media accounts, email, and or text. You can find that information in the description below. Again, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Thanks, and we hope you enjoyed.
Testing.